she fretted my 5 nights till I breached her security. Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the Games Case. Today, and only today, we are here with a new week, new hype, new energy, and we are actually here to talk about The Legend of Zelda, because today is the anniversary of The Legend of Zelda. Now granted, last year we had the big 35th anniversary, which, you know, didn't end up being that big, but it was an anniversary. But today is the anniversary day of The Legend of Zelda franchise, and I just wanted to sort of do a bit of reflection and sort of guess about what's next or what's coming and all that stuff. So without further ado, let's talk about it. But of course, subscribe, of course, like the videos. Let me know if you guys are enjoying all the new content. I've been consistent. I told you guys I was gonna be consistent all year. I've been doing it, so thank you for all the support and love and all that stuff. So before we get into sort of, you know, speculation of what's next, let's reflect a little bit. You know, let me give you a bit of, let me give you story time with Fidel. You know, I love The Legend of Zelda franchise. I think my actual first game I had ever played was Wind Waker. I remember specifically going to a Zellers. I don't know if anybody, Zellers was basically like an old Canadian retail store that was the equivalent of like a Target in the US. I remember buying that, like, called that box of what's it called, Wind Waker. Actually no, wait, I bought one. No, my first one was the what's it called, GBA port of Link to the Past. That was my first Zelda game that I have no recollection of buying, but I had it. That was my first memory of it, and back then I think that game was a little too hard for me, but I remember getting a GameCube back then and getting Wind Waker, and I'll never forget being stuck at the fortress for the longest time. As a kid, I just couldn't solve that the earliest thing in the game, which is like that fortress area. I tried so much, but I was a dumb little shit. But I still remember I just don't remember owning that game, right? Then I remember growing up a little bit, playing it again, figuring it out, and then I ended up playing, I don't remember on what console it was. I think it was on Wii Virtual Console, where I'd finally played Ocarina of Time. I think it was on the Wii Virtual Console. I had played Ocarina, I had played Majora, I had played the 3DS ports. I remember buying Skyward Sword on the Wii day one, and it came with that like fat ass little dongle that they attached to the Wii remote, and that was really, was it that, or was it, no, wait, that was the collector's edition. I don't know. Either way, I had what's it called, it came with the gold Wii remote. I think I had the gold Wii remote. I don't remember if I got it from, what's it called, Club Nintendo or whatever, but either way, I remember playing Skyward Sword at launch and really enjoying that game. And obviously I love the handheld ones. I remember playing Minish Cap later on, and obviously I really love Link Between Worlds. I remember my friend specifically had Spirit Tracks, and that's how I played Spirit Tracks, like at his house on his DS for some reason. But yeah, man, I don't know, the Legend of Zelda franchise has always been something that's been very special and near and dear to my heart. It's something that's really like, we don't get many mainline Zelda releases, especially nowadays. I mean, like, you think about it, like, we really got Breath of the Wild nearly 5 years ago now, and on the Wii U we didn't even get a mainline Zelda, right? We got, like, we got the ports of Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, but it had been a while since we had Skyward Sword between that. Like, it always feels like it's an event now when a big 3D mainline Zelda games. But yeah, man, this series just means a lot to me. It's really special to me. And there's such unique video games. There's really nothing like them, really. If you really think about it, like, obviously there's a lot of, like, you know, dungeon style games, you know, there's a lot of action games, but I don't know, the way the world of The Legend of Zelda is, like, the way you discover stuff, the way you solve puzzles in it, the way everything is, it's just like, it really has its own unique feel and energy to it. And I've always appreciated that about the franchise. And even if it's been, like, difficult at sometimes, like, I remember, I don't know, like, I still have trouble wrapping my head around certain things in Zelda where, like, I cannot solve it for the death of me. But there are games that I just always love to play through. I would say my favorite is still Breath of the Wild. I think Breath of the Wild really, that game fucked me up, man. I'll just never forget the I remember I specifically failed the class because of how much I was playing Breath of the Wild when it came out, and just how every night playing that game, I remember just like being addicted, like going somewhere and like something stopping me along the way. And I know it's become like a bit of a meme nowadays to be like, oh man, Breath of the Wild, everything's like it, blah blah blah, but like, the reason why so many games attempt to take from it is just because it really was a special game. It still is a really special game. I mean, it's the best-selling Zelda game ever by far. It's at 25 million units. It's outselling a mainline, what's called a mainline Pokemon game, a mainline Mario game on the Switch. It's insane how amazing that game is and how its legacy is still so strong. And after that, my next favorite would be Wind Waker. Wind Waker is just such a charming game. I mean, you can hear the song playing from Wind Waker right now. But man, that game to me is just super fun. It's always been beautiful. I love the ocean setting. I love the dungeons. I love the story. Like, Wind Waker is such a dope game, and I'm just going to talk about it in a little bit. But yeah, there's that, and then my next one would be Link Between Worlds / Link to the Past. I would say both of them sort of tied in some way. Really dope handheld Zelda games with the top-down perspective. Really love that shit. And yeah, I said Link Between Worlds. Link Between Worlds, the way it had that sort of mechanic where like you paint Link into a wall, has always been really cool to me. Yeah, so either way, I really love the Zelda franchise. Really appreciative of and of course, let me know below what are your favorite Zelda games. Now, let's get into a bit of like, you know, speculation, conversation territory, because the Switch has actually been an interesting era for Zelda. I believe, if I'm not wrong, there has been a Zelda game on Switch at least once a year. I believe on launch year we got Breath of the Wild, and I think we got Hyrule Warriors, or that was the year after. We got Cadence of Hyrule. We got we got Skyward Sword. We have now the virtual console versions of Ocarina, and we have Majora coming next month. And I think that's all of them. I'd say, am I missing? There's probably something I'm missing. But either way, we've gotten a Zelda thing on Switch at least once a year in the console's lifespan, right? So obviously we're going to be getting something this year. A big conversation. Where's Breath of the Wild 2, right? Are we getting Breath of the Wild 2? And I don't know right now. You know, I feel like we are in this weird territory where my personal belief is Nintendo wants Breath of the Wild 2 out this year so badly. Like, every time they have their quarterly financial events, they're always saying like, hey, Breath of the Wild is a 2022 game, right? But like, they're still hiding the title, and I am guessing this is going to be obviously right now, in a good way, we're near the home stretch of knowing or not. I feel like with E3 being there's summer direct. If there is no E3, we don't know yet. Like what, March, April, May, June, we're like 4 months really from knowing the state of this game, if it's going to make it this year or not. My guess is they're going to surprise us and it's going to make it. It might be like December, sort of like how Smash came out like what, December 7th. So maybe it won't make it, you know, to like Game of the Year talk and all that stuff, but like that really doesn't matter because Nintendo really cares more about just getting a banger game out there. But yeah, no, I think Breath of the Wild 2 is going to be this year, and there's so much. That game, like, I feel like I think the reason they've taken so long is because they obviously they knew Breath of the Wild was going to be a special game. They're not dumb, but the amount of love and praise that game has, they know this sequel has so many expectations riding on it, especially because now a lot of games, you know, have taken from Breath of the Wild, and now Breath of the Wild is going to be looked at like, hey, can it be better than the original? Is it better than, you know, the games that took inspirations from it? Is it able to evolve stuff? And I feel like the team the team with AJ Onuma and all these people working on Breath of the Wild 2 know that, and they're trying to make the craziest thing possible. And again, we still don't know much details. We know like there's the sky areas. We know you have like that power ability that like sort of rewinds a moment in the environment, which I think is going to cause some really clever puzzles. And we know we have this new mechanic where like you can like dive up through platforms. I don't know if that's a teleportation system or if it's an actual gameplay mechanic, but we will find out soon, hopefully. But yeah, I really do hope Breath of the Wild 2 is this year, but again, we don't have enough info yet, and I hope we get that soon. But of course, I mentioned this earlier, right? We are down to our last 2 mainline Zelda games that are not on Switch, right? We have Ocarina, we have Majora. Now we are missing Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, because we have Skyward Sword and we have Breath of the Wild. So these are the 2 missing links. That was funny. All right, so yeah, we have those 2 missing links on the console, and I think it's a matter of time, man. I really do think Wind Waker HD, Twilight Princess HD, I don't know what they're gonna do. I pray. No, I don't. I know they're not going to, because they're Nintendo and they're annoying and they're weird. But I really do pray that they bundle Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD together, or they just release them digitally as like $30-$40. You know, they're like, hey, we really didn't do much with this from the Wii U to here. Here's where's it go? Ow, what the fuck, I bumped my head. Here's just a digital eShop release of both. But knowing them, they'd want to get like a big retail they'll push. And I think the releases depend on Breath of the Wild 2. I think if Breath of the Wild 2 is somehow delayed to next year, we will have Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess, or one of them, this fall. You know, I think they're gonna keep to that yearly Zelda schedule. But if Breath of the Wild is this year, we will most likely get them next year. I'm just really excited, man, because Wind Waker is a game, like I said, I love Wind Waker so much. It's one of my favorite games, and that game would be perfect on Switch. And they already they did so many changes to it on the Wii U version of the game that most people didn't even get to play. I really think like Wind Waker could get a second bloom of crazy hype if it was on Switch and ported there, and maybe get some new features. Who knows? But I'd be down for that. Twilight Princess as well. I know a lot of people love Twilight Princess. That game, I don't know why my memories of it are really fuzzy, but I'd like to play it again. It's been so long. But yeah, so I just want those ports of those two games. Another thing is the handheld Zelda games, right? There's a lot of handheld Zelda games people love. Now we got the Link's Awakening remake in that cool style, and I really hope, because I think the developer of that was Grezzo, I really hope we get more like that. I hope they remake what's called Oracle of Seasons and Ages in that Link's Awakening engine, because you can't just make like a cool toy aesthetic like that and then just use it one time. But they also can, because they're Nintendo and they're weird and crazy. But yeah, like I'd love more of the handheld remakes they were doing. I'd love you. Can you imagine Link to the Past remake in that style too, or one that like combine Link to the Past and Link Between Worlds? Like more of the handheld love. I don't know what if they'll ever even be able to bring back Spirit Tracks and what's the other, Phantom Hourglass, but they'd have to like heavily revamp those games. But yeah, no, either way, we need more Zelda handheld love, because we really don't have much on Switch besides the besides really Link's Awakening. And I wonder also if we're just gonna get a brand new original one. I'd rather that, actually. I'd rather the next 2D Zelda be a brand new original 2D Zelda, because again, even when you think about it, right, Link Between Worlds is still a sequel to Link to the Past that is using a lot of elements from that world. So could you imagine just a brand new, just like new area, new dungeons, new everything for a brand new 2D Zelda? I'd be so down for that, and I'd really that sounds awesome to me. I didn't even think about that recently. Another thing that would be really cool in a modern setting with the Switch and Nintendo Switch Online and all that stuff would be a new Four Swords Adventure or Triforce Heroes. Like I feel like now of all times is the best time to have a game like that. You know, you want people to go subscribe to Nintendo Switch Online. You have obviously the two Joy-Cons people have locally. Like I feel like that type of Zelda game would be awesome in a modern day, especially because, like, you know, streaming is so big. You can make people can make amazing content with like doing 4-player Zelda dungeons together. I feel like today now would be the perfect time to bring back these sort of Four Swords, Triforce Series, whatever you want to call it, like Zelda multiplayer, because there's so much potential for that gameplay and that world to do like just cool shit, whether it's 2D or 3D. So I'd be really down for that. Maybe make it a pack in for Nintendo Switch Online if you have the expansion, and make it $20 if you don't. I'd be really down for that. Give it constant updates and all that jazz. So yeah, there's that. And I know what's called a big thing, you know, people that have really wanted for a long time is like, I know there's a lot of people that think Breath of the Wild is sort of a different Zelda game, and that they like the old school Zelda 3D dungeons. Maybe one day we'll get that, you know, maybe like after the Breath of the Wild lineage is done, they'll do maybe like a side series where it is like, hey, here's the smaller scale Zelda game that you used to grow up and love in 3D environments. I think maybe at some point, I really do think at some point they're gonna hit the remake button on Ocarina, especially. I feel like that's the game that would be most likely to get a remake, you know, get new areas, revamped stuff, change a lot of that game, because the Ocarina of Time 3DS port is not really a remake. It's more of like a remaster with like some changes. But I think Ocarina remake is something I feel like the team has been thinking about and would like to do at some point. So we're gonna see what happens. Either way, I think the Zelda franchise right now is at a very healthy spot. Link's Awakening even sold like 4 million copies just for a 2D Zelda is amazing. We have Breath of the Wild thriving. We have all this stuff going on, and of course, y'all, let me know what you guys think. What are you most excited for? Do you think Breath of the Wild's this year? What are your favorite Zelda games? Let me know below. Talk to me. Let me know what's up. And of course, I'll see you all next time. Peace out. I love you. You're the best. Bye.